Hey there, comic friends. I'm Travis, and it's time to talk some comics. Talking comics. These are comics for the week of July 17th, 2024, I want to say. No particular order. Just going to shoot the breeze about what I read. So, this is issue number 7 of John Constantine Hellblazer, Dead in America. Another really great issue. This issue kind of shows John really being John. Rides the wave of what's happening around him to ultimately get what he wants or what he needs out of it. Just thought it was some really good storytelling in this. If you had any question about whether or not Constantine is bi, clearly is answered in this issue. Cover alone would tell you that. We're coming to the end of our road. With Constantine, we've traveled across America. I'm not sure. I think we got like 2 issues to kind of square things with what else is going on. Or I don't think it's really going to square. To be honest with you, I think it's going to. He's going to retrieve what he needs to retrieve, and maybe he survives this and gets back to being more mortal and less zombie. But anyway, smart issue dives into some fun Americana. I'm curious is the fact that it doesn't use the Winchester house. I wonder if there's some sort of trademarked issue to not talk about Winchester. At the beginning of this, he's in the equivalent of the famous Winchester house. Lady Winchester had a house that she was constantly building on. It has stairs and doors that lead to nowhere, kept a bunch of people busy. Lots of great stories have been written about why she did that. In this, they call them like Cambridge, I think is what the name, and Cambridge Rifle instead of Winchester. So I'm not sure why they did that. So that was interesting. He basically tags along with a spirit of sorts and throttles that spirit to get what he needs by the end of it. But anyway, it was a really good issue. I continue to really enjoy this. When this is done, I just hope they can figure out how to do more stories, even if it's in a smaller format. Even if I have to wait 6 months to a year for the next one, I hope this does well enough that they can just continue that. Brier has such a smart voice for Hellblazer. Aaron Campbell's and Jody Blair's artwork on it is just super smart. They're a great team for the book, and this easily holds up next to the original run back in the day for those of us who are big Hellblazer fans and enjoyed that original stuff. This still just continues to be as smarter than that stuff. Just really super enjoy it. Next up, we have Mugshots issue 2. This is from Mad Cave Books. I really like the artwork in this. What you see on the cover is what you get inside. It's basically black and white with single color tones throughout the book. So a lot of it is in this kind of blue, but there's moods. There's moments where they're using this kind of an off brown umber orange color. Depending on what's going on. The story itself is set in Britain. It's about a guy who's come back to the to where he used to haunt out at because his kid sister, so his niece has disappeared, and he's trying to help find her. She's gotten herself mixed up into a bunch of stuff. There's some crime families. Our main character is kind of a criminal himself. So it's a kind of a crime noir sort of a book. But I just really dig this artwork. The color palette use is really good, and the way they deliver it. Lots of times that color is basically light shining in from someplace. It's just really smartly used. But if you like crime noir books, it's been enjoyable. As far as that kind of stuff goes. A little more street level than like Newburn, for instance, but still along that same sort of a vein. But yeah, it's just been really good. I can't remember how many issues this is. I want to say it's quite a few. But yeah, Jordan Thompson written. Chris Matthews does the artwork. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, really like the look and feel of the book. And if you like kind of crime noir sort of a thing, it's been good. The first issues have been quite enjoyable. Next up, we have Wonder Woman issue number 11. If you're not reading Absolute Power, this is a complete waste, except for the fun backup story that's in the back of this. All of the Wonder Woman issues have had some sort of Trinity backup where it's Trinity, which I'm assuming is Wonder Woman's daughter, and it has Damian Wayne and John Kent, kind of like babysitting mentors sort of thing is what they are. And in this issue, they go to a Black Canary concert, and it's lots of fun. Damien is very pro not pop music, and things ensue in it, and it's a lot of fun. But as far as this, it has zero to do with the current actual title itself. They fight a robot that's like a Mazo or whatever. You touch it, it takes your powers, sort of thing. A great cast of characters in this. I'd love to read some real stories with this cast of character. It's got Detective Chimp in it. It's got the Spectre in it. It's got John Constantine in it. It's got Lady Xanadu in it. It's got Wonder Woman, obviously. It's got Captain Marvel and Mary Marvel in it. Or Shazam, I don't know what is she called. If he's called Shazam, anyway. So it's got some fun people in it, but because I'm not reading the Absolute Power thing, it was an absolute waste. So I have no interest in the Absolute Power, even reading that. I like those characters, but they're fighting a robot that steals their powers. Yawn, whatever. Anyway, let's move on to something else. Napalm Lullaby, issue number 5. Does this issue give us a large chunk of all the questions we've been asking all along? I think it does. I think it spells out a ton of stuff here, but it's almost a narrative dump. There are two characters with their interesting powers and whatnot run into somebody that we assume is mom. She implies that she's mom. They call her mom, so I guess she's mom. She gives the story about how they came to be and what is and what should be or whatever, and kind of gives us this giant info dump of how this world works, that the world's basically modeled after a freaking comic book. It's a crazy cult built off of a comic book, and it's just been advanced forward and is extreme, and there are a couple people in power that have brainwashed some people, and our original superpower person has been in a tank for years and years being brainwashed, and they need help saving him now. It's great to know all that information. I don't know that getting it through an info dump was the way to do it. Or I figure, hey, they better get all that information in the first trade, because who's going to pick up the second if we don't have it? I don't know. Maybe I am being cynical about it. Artwork is still wonderful. It starts out, at least in this case, we're getting a narration of what happened. We're getting actual sequential art that tells us that and whatnot. And then it reaches a point where we start getting a lot more of this sort of thing, which is a Remender thing, because we've definitely seen it with like Deadly Class 2. A little more going on, I feel like, in the Deadly Class stuff when we get the narration off to the side and let the artwork do its own work without having a narration boxes clouding the art, which is fine, enjoyable, but we get quite a few pages of largely that, right? So, yeah. I'm still really enjoying it. I like the idea. It's really interesting and whatnot. I don't know that I was excited about the tool that they use to give us that information. I don't know. I've kind of been away from YouTube with my whole life, other stuff going on, so I haven't gotten a chance to watch anybody else's videos to see what other people think of this. I know a lot of us have been critical of, is it giving us what we need? I'll be curious to see. What do you think? Because I'm going to keep getting it. I'm enjoying it. I even enjoyed this issue. I liked reading what I read. So I guess maybe it was successful, and I shouldn't be critical of that if I'm enjoying it, right? I don't know. It just seems like there could have been another way to do it. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, because it's just somebody giving us the backstory. How would you get that backstory otherwise, right? So maybe it makes sense. I don't know. It made me pause, though. Next up, we have Briar, issue number 7, largely spent on a penal colony island. Briar is really spiraling, which makes sense. She is her friendship with the Norfolk as basically Spider has basically plummeted to the bottom of the bottom. They're on an island you never leave from. Every hour on the hour, horns are blared. So you get no real sleep. Gerlinda, the fairy godmother, who's supposedly the evil person in the book, is happy that she's there. This will basically just drive her to the point of exhaustion to where really all she'll want to be is asleep, and then she can put her back to sleep, we get implied. Meanwhile, our witch has been misgendered, degendered, forced to be a boy and work on a farm as a farmer. By the end of it, we get some implication that maybe that will potentially change. I'm enjoying the book. I enjoy quite a book. I really like the story and whatnot. I'll quit talking about my druthers about the art, the Garcia art we used to have. Alex Linus is doing a great job as far as telling this story. I just can't imagine that. I think it's 1 or 2 issues. How does this play out in 1 or 2 issues? If that's really the end? I think it's unfortunate that's really the end. I really like this world. I like the characters. I like what's going on. It's interesting. It's fun to read. I'd like it to be longer, but I don't know. I think that's what it's going to be, obviously. But yeah, smart book written by Christopher Cantwell, Alex Linus doing the art on it. I'm just really curious to see. By the end of this, they're on this island. Like I said, they're in prison. The only way off the island is basically go crazy and throw yourself off a cliff. So we'll see, how do they escape. By the end of it, there is an implication that there's a potential escape plan, and it seems like it's going to be pretty unorthodox. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. And can they fix their friendship? Can Spider and Briar patch things up? They've said a lot of terrible things to each other as they're being forced to this prison for life and whatnot and being miserable. I'm curious to see how it plays out. Next up, we have What's the Furthest Place From Here? I absolutely love this book, this title as a whole. This is issue 19. It has a guest artist on it. We get a story about this lighthouse. We get another version of what happened to the world prior to this to put us to this place where we have these kids kind of in families doing the stuff they're doing and whatnot. In this case, it's this lighthouse. They all talk like, "Arg, sea captains," and it's fun as far as that goes. If you're reading this, what did Father Soil steal? Because I don't really, they open up this bag and like, oh my gosh, he stole that. And the monsters are coming to get him and wipe them all out and burn stuff up and do terrible things. And I'm not exactly sure what it was that got stole. So if you're reading this and you know what it is, and I missed it, let me know. So most of this is told. We don't see our normal crew of people until the very end. Briefly, Alabama and Sid and the rest of them are traveling across the world. We see another version of the map that gives these different little places, and they're like their own little worlds, got their own little things going on or whatever. I don't know if that's somebody larger's design. In this case, these kids, think that the world of adults and the good lifted up like a spacecraft up out of the sky. The kids fought and over years forgot what they were fighting for. And maybe someday that mother city will come back down and collect them or whatever. Makes no sense whatsoever. But it's their legend, it's their mythology. And they think everybody else's mythology is crazy, which makes sense. That's how the world works, right? Enjoyable issue. Yeah, but guest artists on this of Burnett, but great. It conveys the story, still has the vibe of what's the furthest place from here. So I'm curious to see next issue. Are we going back to our regular crew? I'm betting we are. And they're trying to run to get away from everything to start a new life, or whatever that new life's going to be. But they're in the woods. They're with a baby. Everybody makes noise, and there are monsters in the woods. So we'll see how that all plays out. Oh, yeah. Next up is Lawful. This is issue number 2, Boom Studios. Greg Pak written, Diego Galindo on art. I really dug the first issue, this whole idea that if you do something bad, naughty even, whatever, that you slowly start manifesting monster things, horns, scales, cat ears, tails, whatever, until you totally evolve down into a monster. This issue drops the other shoe, basically, and I'm still really enjoying it. Our main character is struggling with the fact that he has basically broke some rules to cover for his childhood friend who was marked to be rounded up and thrown out of the city, and has developed a few more scales on his chest because of that choice that he made, and he's still freaking out about it, and he's trying to decide. We get to see some more of the people who are becoming monsters basically saying, hey, this is not that big a deal. Why do they have these rules, that make it this way? We get to hear some story about how everything was great. They had to come to this planet running from someplace else, and here, this is how it is, this stuff. And we meet these knights who are super self-righteous, never do anything wrong, make him feel super guilty over the fact that they think he's following the right path that his father led, yada, yada, yada. And then towards the end of the book, when he's trying to fix his clerical choices that he made, he discovers the great lie about the whole thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing how does that play out. I'm really curious to see if at some point we get some sort of bigger understanding of why this happens to the people on this planet or whatnot. There's clearly a way to reverse said things. That's part of the big lie. And I'm looking forward to checking that out. Great artwork. Interesting story so far. Issue 2 is a lot of fun. Oh, Nightwing, The Fall of Grace in issue 3 of 5. So this is issue 116. I've been somewhat critical of Nightwing. It feels like it's kind of lost its pep that it had there towards the beginning of this run from Taylor and Redondo. This gets some of it back, but I super love the ending of this. Grayson has been marked as being, everyone believes that he is heartless. He's been beat up. He's been shot in police custody, basically. He escapes police custody because, of course, he's Nightwing, right? And is now going on a journey he's got to get his act back together. He's got to figure out how to quit being afraid of heights. It does get in this issue confirms why it was originally he was afraid, suddenly became afraid of heights. Now it's not a physical thing, it's a psychological thing, and he's going to go and meet up with Dead Man Boston Brand, who he met when he was a kid, to get over this fear that he has, supposedly. So great interaction with them. That's all fun and whatnot. But at the end of this, things are start getting ugly, and Bloodhaven. Oracle's told all of the rest of the Bat family, you got to back off. You can't be getting involved in this. Let it work itself out. That's what Dick wants to have happen. That's what Batman says should happen. So clearly, if Batman says it should happen, that's what should be. But at the end of this, somebody takes on the role of Nightwing, and I'm super stoked for it. I am thrilled to death. It's kind of one of those things that, as there were role reversals for quite a few years back in the day, I am really looking forward to seeing this. I hope they play with it some. We've only got a few issues left, though, right? Because this is 3 of 5. At the end of 5, this creative team is done on the book, and I don't know what happens to it after that, nor whether or not I'll continue to create it or to collect it. But who's going to take on Nightwing's mantle for a while anyway? I really want to see that. So I'm sure it's probably going to just be an issue at most. But I am super looking forward to seeing it. The payoff at the end of this makes me all excited about the book all over again. And a joy to read. It is a joy to read. The artwork is just brilliant in it. Taylor writes good, smart, fun dialogue. So yeah, lots of fun. And finally, here it is. Issue number 7 of the Weatherman of Volume 3. This is the final issue of this series completely. I'm wearing my Brutal Noodles t-shirt, the newer version, the colored version, just for this. Super excited to get this. I'm always nervous about endings, true endings to books. Can you land an ending? Because sometimes you can make an ending so bad that kind of taints a lot of the rest of the story for me. Not with this. This ends basically perfect. There's so much emotional content in this issue. There's tons of trauma throughout this book. This issue ends on a good note, but not an unrealistic note as to how that trauma would play out and whatnot. We get to see some thoughts of some people and why they make the decisions they are and whatnot. There's some happy moments in this, which I wasn't sure there was going to be after the ending of last issue. And our main character, the Weatherman, has to live with all this stuff, and so does the other people who managed to survive this thing. And the show of how they process that trauma is I think pretty perfect, for the characters and whatnot, because you don't walk away from all of this and just everything's fine. And so there is that in the book, and I think it's a sweet ending. At the end of it, clearly these people, their lives are forever changed. But maybe they'll get there, and maybe not. But just really, really good. I still continue to, if you have not picked this book up, pick up the trades. I would assume that the third volume trade shouldn't be very far behind. Behind this. I don't have one that's actually the back of this. I thought maybe the back of this would have an ad saying, "Oh, it's going to come out, blah 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 already." But I would guess it's not going to be very long before it comes out. Just really good stuff. I don't want to show anything in it because it spoils stuff. But I'm super excited by it. Really, really liked it. Comic I recommend to basically anybody who I don't think is afraid of, people being shot and that sort of thing. These creators, if they ever decide to do something else, tell their stories. Jody Lep and Nathan Fox, I am totally down. Nathan Fox, whatever he's doing, I super dig his artwork. Super, super happy. Super, super happy. And I'm going to end on that with super, super happy. Thanks for watching. If you watched, did you read any of these books? What'd you think? Have you read some Weatherman and you think you're hyping this way more than it needs to? Let me know. I appreciate it because I'm here to talk comics with my comic book friends. Have a great one, everybody.